I've arranged a special seat for you, a standing spot only for the poor folks. LOL. With an intention to draw attention, my son's fiance's mother raised her voice and laughed loudly enough to cause a tense atmosphere in the restaurant. At that moment, the fine dining restaurant where we were meeting for their engagement celebration instantly froze and fell silent. Just as she intended, my presence was highlighted in the restaurant. Amidst the silence that had fallen over the room, I was isolated, and my heart was the only thing making a loud sound, thumping. I never imagined things would turn out this way, not even in the slightest. I trembled in the freezing atmosphere, even though it wasn't actually cold. Actually, I wasn't alone in this. There was someone else who started trembling like me. He, filled with a sense of despair like losing everything, family, friends, home, and work, started talking as if he was squeezing out the last drop. We're finished. I'm Luciana Miller, and I juggle a few cleaning jobs, keeping myself busy every day. From Monday to Friday, I clean and take out the trash in 3 apartment buildings. On weekday evenings and Saturdays, I clean the restrooms at a major department store. I work and earn money, and I've been saving every penny by keeping a daily budget. Mrs. Miller, aren't you working a bit too much? Make sure not to overdo it and fall ill, said the apartment manager, but there's a reason I work so hard. I got married 30 years ago and was blessed with 2 sons. We lived happily as a family of 4, but our blissful life took a drastic turn one day. 20 years ago, my husband was in a car accident while working and suddenly passed away. My sons were very young at that time, but I've raised them on my own since then. The eldest son helped me with household chores since he was in elementary school and read stories to his younger brother. My second son, without complaints, stayed home with his brother, always greeting me with a smile when I returned. Although the shock and grief of losing my beloved husband was great, I was happy because I was surrounded by the energetic smiles of my sons. They grew up, got jobs, and left home. My eldest son, with his lifelong love for books, excelled and got promoted to deputy editor-in-chief at a major publishing company at an unusually young age. He happily told me about it. My second son found a job at a video production company, and he is now in charge of a popular travel show, traveling all over Canada. They're both busy, and we meet only once or twice a year, but every year on my birthday and Mother's Day, they send flowers and presents. I sometimes feel lonely by myself, but I find joy in tending to a small garden, taking morning walks, and chatting with neighbors. I was enjoying my life. One day, my eldest son, Simon, brought his girlfriend to my house. I had heard about her but was meeting her for the first time. We're here. It's been a long time. Sorry for not visiting sooner. This is my girlfriend, Raylan. Nice to meet you, I'm Raylan. How are you? Raylan had a lovely face with nice makeup and was dressed in stylish clothes that looked like they came straight out of a fashion magazine. Nice to meet you, Raylan. Thank you for coming. Please come in. I led them into the living room. Raylan looked around the room, taking her time. Our home had minimal furniture, all scratched up, as our sons had been using it since they were young. The appliances were old, but still in working condition. We only have Earl Grey tea. Is that okay with you, Raylan? Oh, yes. Thank you. This Earl Grey tea is homemade, you know. Oh, really? Are you running a tea shop, Luciana? That's amazing. Raylan's eyes seemed to gleam at the mention of homemade. It seemed that she had associated the word homemade with being a business owner. She appeared genuinely curious. Oh no, I just make it for fun. I hope it suits your taste. Oh, I see. It's really delicious. She sipped the tea. She looked like she was enjoying the tea, but the gleam in her eyes disappeared in an instant for some reason. Do you guys work at the same company? We met in college. Raylan works at a major bank. Is that so? That's impressive. My father is the branch manager at the same bank. People often say I got the job through connections, but I actually got the job because of my abilities. Raylan said this with a wide smile. While Simon also smiled beside her, I sensed something different in Raylan's smile. I thought she might be joking about the connections part, but it seemed like she was suppressing a smirk, hinting at something else. Simon mentioned they were planning to go to the beach. So he left the living room to get some beach sandals from the closet in the bedroom upstairs. At that moment, I found myself alone with Raylan, and for some reason, she was scrutinizing my clothing. Is that outfit a work uniform? It looks all patchy and interesting. Raylan's tone contradicted her attitude. Her expression seemed more like a faint smirk than a smile. When was the last time I bought clothes? I was wearing a navy blue t-shirt and linen pants, and I've had them for over a decade. They were my favorite clothes, and I carefully sewed any frayed edges. Raylan, wearing stylish clothes that looked like they came straight out of a fashion magazine, might not understand it at all. Although her words bothered me, I answered with a smile. It's not a work uniform. It's my everyday attire. I can save money too if I take good care of it and wear it for a long time. I see. By the way, there seems to be very little stuff in this house. You must be a minimalist, Luciana. I really admire that. And your place is so tidy. I heard from Simon that you work as a cleaner. I can see that you clean your house in an outstanding way since you mastered the skill in just cleaning. I might need to ask you to clean my house sometime. The moment we were alone, Raylan began making fun of me, leaving me stunned and speechless. At that moment, I heard the sound of footsteps coming down the stairs. Simon returned holding the beach sandals. Welcome back, Simon. You must have learned to take great care of things from your mother. That's wonderful. Do you think so? I just really like these sandals. Simon blushed and smiled. Raylan had a smile on her face that I couldn't imagine from what she said earlier. It seemed Simon was unaware of Raylan's true nature. My son is already an adult, and I believe I, his parent, shouldn't say anything regarding whom he dates. But if Simon were to marry Raylan, would Simon be happy? My worries grew as I watched them. Several months had passed since Raylan came to our house. Since then, Simon seemed to be continuing a steady relationship with her. Then one day, Simon said this on the phone. Mom, I'm going to marry Raylan. Are you? Raylan, you mean the one whom you brought during the July long weekend? Who else would it be? We'll arrange the dinner soon, so that I can introduce you to her family. When the date is set, I'll let you know. Well, I'm busy, so I've got to go. Wait, but... He had already hung up the phone. I couldn't say congratulations to him. I had hoped that through their relationship, Simon would come to see Raylan's true nature, but... In the end, I couldn't talk about Raylan with Simon before the day of the dinner arrived. Mom, I'm sorry, there is an unexpected meeting that I have to join, so could you go to the restaurant first? I'll try to get there as soon as I can. The place Simon had told me to go was a fine dining restaurant. With mixed feelings, I headed to the restaurant alone. Mrs. Miller? We've been expecting you. Your companion is already here. This way, please. The waitress led me to our table upon my arrival. The restaurant was busy that day and the seats seemed full. The atmosphere was cheerful and people were engaging in lively conversations. As I passed by these people, and came to the table that the waitress showed me. I found Raylan and her mother chatting. "I'm sorry to keep you waiting. It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Luciana, Simon's mother." "Oh, hello." Raylan's mother glanced at me and said that. "Hello, Raylan. It's been a while." "Yes." After she said only that, they resumed their conversation. It appeared that neither Raylan nor her mother had any intentions of being friendly towards me. I couldn't help but feel anxious about the future. Would I be able to get along with these people? I tried to take my seat while I pondered these concerns. But at that moment, I noticed something. There was one seat missing. I had heard that Raylan's father would join us later. We needed seats for Raylan's father, Simon, and myself. I think we'll need one more seat," I said while I was standing. Raylan's mother replied immediately, "I've arranged a special seat for you, a standing spot only for the poor folks, ... With an intention to draw attention, Raylan's mother raised her voice and laughed loudly enough to cause a tense atmosphere in the restaurant. At that moment, the fine dining restaurant where we were meeting for their engagement celebration instantly froze and fell silent. In the midst of the hushed atmosphere, Raylan's mother continued with a smirk. "There is no seat for you. I heard that you are leading a frugal life. This place is too extravagant for you, don't you think? I wasn't even sure about letting you enter this restaurant." I stood there, stunned, as Remy's mother suddenly insulted me like that. When she saw my reaction, she wore an even more smug expression. She likely had a plan to humiliate me. I think that's why she didn't choose a private room for this gathering. Just as Raylan's mother intended, my presence was highlighted in the restaurant. Amidst the silence that had fallen over the room, I was isolated, and my heart was the only thing making a loud sound, thumping. And as if to break into that noise, Raylan's mother continued further. "You can only do cleaning for work, right? I heard that you are good at cleaning toilets. Oh, it smells a bit here, doesn't it? Did you come straight from work? I guess allowing you into this place was a mistake. A person who is dirty and poor should just stand there. Mom, she is busy with her cleaning job. We should just tell her what we need and let her go back to work." "Right. Poor folks have to work without wasting a second, don't they? We'll approve of our daughter and Simon's marriage, but you're still a complete stranger to us. Please don't get involved with us in any way. Today is the first and last time we'll meet. Hurry back and clean some toilets." I never imagined things would turn out this way, not even in the slightest. I trembled in the freezing atmosphere, even though it wasn't actually cold. I wasn't alone in this. There was someone else who started trembling like me. He, filled with a sense of despair like losing everything, family, friends, home, and work, started talking as if he was squeezing out the last drop. "We're finished." I didn't notice when they arrived, but suddenly, Raylan's father and Simon were standing behind us. Simon's face was bright red with anger, and Raylan's father's face was as white as a sheet. "Finished? What are you talking about?" Raylan's mother, who had been laughing heartily until now, seemed upset to see her husband trembling uncontrollably. "Mrs. Miller, thank you so much for your business. I had no idea that you were Simon's mother. Even though we didn't know, this is not acceptable. I'm so sorry for my wife and daughter's disrespectful behavior." Raylan's father apologized to me, sincerely. "Hey, what's going on? Can you explain?" "Mr. Ford, it's okay. What's happening? Can you explain to me? You're being too loud, be quiet. Shall we discuss things for the future?" "Yes." Raylan's father signaled to the waitress, and a fifth seat was promptly arranged. Everyone took their seats, and Simon was the first to speak. "Andrea, you were calling my mother a poor person, and also telling her to go clean toilets earlier, weren't you?" "Well, that's because it's the truth, isn't it?" Raylan's mother replied in a soft voice, which is even softer than a bird's chirp, and completely different from just moments ago. "Mrs. Miller is one of our branch's VIPs." "A VIP? That means cleaning is not the only job my mother has. She's published 3 books from the publishing company I work for, and all of them are bestsellers with over 100,000 copies sold. I was sharing my money-saving tips with my good friends, and little by little, more and more people wanted to learn how to save money from me. And it was at Simon's suggestion that I decided to publish the book." "Is that so?" "This year, we also started streaming videos at my younger brother's suggestion. We hit over 200,000 subscribers just the other day, didn't we? The view count on each video is around 1 million or so." 1 million. "My second son works at a video production company, so he skillfully edits the amateur videos I make. I also work as an instructor at the community center, and I'm set to publish another book by the end of the year." "Then why are you living in such a rundown place and cleaning bathrooms?" "I have enough savings to buy a new house and live without working, but I am where I am today because I've been saving money steadily. I take good care of a piece of clothing while mending it and grow vegetables. I will continue to cherish this lifestyle, which I don't waste things." Raylan and her mother fell silent. They seemed to have realized that it was all true, from my words and the way Raylan's father and Simon were behaving. Since Simon and Raylan are both adults, I, as a parent, have no say in their marriage. "But you told me not to get involved, so we'll respect your wishes. Thank you for your support until now, Mr. Ford." Raylan's father looked surprised, and his body stiffened. He managed to speak up with a pale face while dripping cold sweat like a waterfall. "I do not expect you to forgive us for our rudeness, but would you please give us another chance to apologize? I will close all of my accounts. I will also close the accounts that I made for my sons with $200,000 I secretly saved in it, for when they have their own families." I said it out loud as if I was shaking off Raylan's father's words. When she heard $200,000, Raylan showed a great interest in it. "So, you'll approve of our marriage, right?" "What are you saying? Didn't you mock my mother and laugh at her? Did you think I didn't hear?" "Well, that was..." "Let's forget about the engagement. Mom, let's go." "Wait a moment. That was all my mom's fault. Simon, please listen." Leaving Raylan and her parents behind, Simon and I left the restaurant. "Mom, I'm sorry for putting you through this. I didn't know Raylan and her mother were like that. I'm not a good judge of character. It's okay. I always respect your decisions." I was greatly shocked, but I think it was harder on Simon. It's not surprising because the person he was about to marry and her mother's true nature was like that. The next day, I closed my accounts. The branch manager, who was drooping his head in disappointment, looked even older than the day before. It turns out that Raylan's father, who had been the branch manager, resigned along with Raylan due to losing a VIP customer. I heard that the relationship between him and his wife has soured and they are now in divorce proceedings. Perhaps Raylan wants to rely on Simon's income and savings, and I heard she's been contacting Simon frequently to reconcile. She started waiting outside my home and workplace after I blocked her calls and messages. I had to ask the police for help. I think she got the message, though. I can't think about marriage for a while. I might become an editor soon, and my career is my focus." Simon chuckled weakly with a hint of exasperation. At that time, I received a message from my second son, Stephen. He said that he wanted me to meet his girlfriend because they were getting married. Because of what happened with Raylan, I couldn't help but feel anxious about what kind of person she is and what her family is like. Simon also seemed concerned about me and wanted to tag along. Nice to meet you. Thank you for having me. I hope you'll enjoy these sweets. Steven's girlfriend, Elle, gave me a gift. She is polite and assertive. Nice to meet you, too. Thank you for bringing such a thoughtful gift. I replied. Elle's father passed away as well, when she was young. I see. My mother used to be a nurse and had to work night shifts as well, so I learned how to cook from my grandmother, and now I'm in charge of cooking. You practice frugality, don't you? I'd love to learn a few things from you. Of course. I was actually planning to make some pickles today. Would you like to do it together? Homemade pickles? I've always wanted to try making it. Please teach me. Steven, you'll help us too. Sure thing. Watching the couple enjoying pickle making, Simon whispered. They seem like a great couple. I wonder if I can meet someone like that. Seeing Steven and Elle, Simon seemed to start thinking more positively about marriage. Elle didn't say anything, even when she saw my patched-up clothing. As for saving money tip, she was quick to put into practice what she learned from me, instead of just listening to what I said and do nothing. I think there are more than a few people like Raylan and Raylan's mother who judge people by their appearance or occupation. While there may be things that you may only be able to tell from the way they look, but to assume that's all there is, and to look down, insult, and ridicule is very sad. If Elle becomes a part of our family, our lives will be lively and enjoyable. I made a wish in front of the picture of my late husband. May our family continue to live peacefully from now on.